Log Horizon, Volume 1, Chapter 3, Part 3. We made it past the sneak attack phase. Their advantages are numbers, terrain, and preparation. Our advantages are... Shidoi's staff shone as he went through the spells he could use. He didn't have to choose the spells using the game menu. His common spells had already been prepared on his hotkeys. Before Shidoi raised his staff to cast any spells, several players showed themselves. The dry debris of the asphalt road cracked loudly in the quiet night. 4 shadows emerged from the darkness. 1 dressed like a fighter, 2 as bandits, 1 like a healer. Their levels and numbers were high, their footsteps steady.
"Leave everything you're carrying and we won't kill you."
The warrior said these cliché words in a disparaging tone. Shidoi laughed bitterly when he heard this. If they are talking like that, they have read too much manga. They were already used to hunting monsters, but battling players was a different thing. Unlike the monsters moving by animal instincts, this induced the fear of unpredictability. And humans were not dense enough to be ignorant of malicious intents of the enemies. Monsters also had a killing intent, but peak hares had the malicious intent of profiting off others' efforts. Shidoi's palms were sweating before he realized. But the cliché line washed away the tension, and Shidoi was grateful for that.
"Guardian and a mage, right? Wanna put up a hopeless fight? We have 4 on our side, alright?"
said the man dressed like a bandit, who seemed to be the leader. The 2 long swords on his waist hinted his class to be a swashbuckler. Out of the 12 classes, only the swashbuckler and samurai could equip 2 weapons without the use of special items and with putting in minimal effort. What should we do, Naotsugu?
"Kill them, pick out the bones, chop them into mincemeat, and kill them again. These guys attack people for fun. They can't complain if someone else kills them."
The reliable voice of Naotsugu revitalized the strength in Shidoi's legs. Breathing normal, the sense of balance is intact, emotions are calm. I can do this. This is something we expected, just a matter of time before we faced this road. Shidoi mumbled to himself. He was already prepared to fight, but wanted to drag the conversation a bit longer if possible. Naotsugu hates PKing after all. Actually, I'm willing to give them the money. The PK group sneered at Shidoi's words. They took half a step forward, showing their ugly, threatening attitude. Shidoi averted his eyes from the pressure, even though he expected this. That must be it. They are looking down on us, thinking we will fork over the cash if they apply a bit more pressure. Shidoi felt he had split into 2. One of him had trembling legs from fear. The other was thinking calmly and clearly. He could also feel his pulse beating warmly by his ears, a sensation he had several times during the tea party. Shidoi was not good in handling Akatsuki, but he didn't hate her. Shidoi hated fighting, but he was good at it. If they can beat us.
"Well said, Shido."
The PK group was either surprised by their conversation or angered by their insolence. Their faces turned red as they drew their weapons while cursing. The red battle mode warning on the status screen had been flashing in the corner of his eyes since the sneak attack. Shidoi took half a step back with his left foot and prayed his voice would be steady as he gave his command. "Target the warrior on the left! Draw the others' attention too!"
"I'll handle the tank! Go take out the mage!"
The sound of Shidoi's command and the bandit leader's roar sounded out at the same time. Naotsugu took a step forward and slammed his shield at the warrior. His opponent was wielding a katana, meaning he was a samurai. The bandit with the long hair flanked Naotsugu on his leader's command, attempting to reach Shidoi with a leap. But this was one of the developments Shidoi anticipated. Shidoi cast his spell in an instant. Astral Bind. Similar to the magic that had bound Naotsugu, it restricted the movements of the enemies. When the defensibly weak mage adventured alone, the spell could restrict the movements of monsters. This was followed by a range attack from a safe distance, a basic battle strategy. The spells of mages might differ in details, but they had common spells, including binding spells. But binding spells had no other effects. The long-haired bandit was left with no choice other than to turn and attack Naotsugu, who was right beside him. He attacked with his daggers that were almost the length of a longsword. Binding spells restricted the opponent's long-range movement, but it didn't deprive them of all freedom. It was similar to leashing a dog with a chain to a pole. They could still move around within a short range. The binding spell would only last for a short while.
"Let's change! I'll leave this to you! I'm on it!"
Under the sparks of the clashing weapons, the leader made a simple feint and attempted to break through Naotsugu's defense line. Their strategy at the start should have let their leader engage Naotsugu, leaving the others to take down Shidoi. But seeing his subordinate bounded, he decided to change the strategy by going for Shidoi himself. His judgment to adjust his plans on the fly was commendable. His flanking action making use of the feint was fast. But that is not enough to match Naotsugu's experience. Anchor howl! Naotsugu lowered the center of mass and shouted fiercely. This howl that shook the air was a skill of the Guardian. The bandit leader that should have slipped past Naotsugu flinched his body as he turned to face Naotsugu with his swords raised on reflex. He lost strength in his legs, and he was unable to look away from Naotsugu. Cold sweat broke out all over his body. The long-haired bandit and the samurai were suffering the same sense of fear with their eyes wide open. They would lose their lives if they didn't stare at Naotsugu. That was the horrifying feeling the three of them felt from him. Naotsugu was a guardian, which was a class that protected their comrades. They were known as tanks because they were the shields absorbing enemy attacks. But having high defense and HP was not enough to act as a tank. Monsters like orcs and goblins might possess similar intelligence to humans. The players might encounter dark elves or cultists as well. This was the world of Elder Tales. Opponents ignoring the tank and going for the healer and mage behind were common too. Guardians were built around the policy of protecting their allies, so they didn't just have high HP and defense. Anchor Howl was a skill Guardians cast with their fighting spirit. Foes who heard this howl would not be able to ignore Naotsugu. The moment they tried, they would be hit by a powerful counterattack. This skill granted Guardians additional attacks if their enemy's attention lapsed. The skills to focus all the enemy's attention on themselves was one of the reasons why Guardians were known as the Fortress among the warrior classes.
Don't be scared. We're going on them 3-on-1. He'll go down no matter how tough he is. Take him first.
The bandit leader encouraged his men despite the fear he was feeling. The swashbuckler was forced to switch tactics again, locking onto Naotsugu and searching for his weak points with his double swords dancing like a snake. The rogue samurai, dual sword leader, and the long-haired bandit were determined to take out Naotsugu first. It was not wrong to do that.
Damn it! You're tough like a turtle! Nothing impressive!
The enemy screamed hysterically as they attacked in a flurry.
Your swords won't break through my armor!
Naotsugu's bold and cheery statement made them double up on their attacks. Shiroi checked Naotsugu's status as he listened to the sharp clash of metals. This group had the skills to back up their words with good courage and teamwork. Naotsugu's HP dwindled under their relentless attacks. Even Naotsugu wouldn't last another 30 seconds. That is, if they can keep up with the attack for 30 seconds. Shiroi grinned. He was not going to give them this amount of time. Drawing a symbol with the tip of his staff took 1.5 seconds. He created a buzzing lightning ball and shot it at the samurai. This was a damage over time spell called Electric Fuzz, persistently dealing low damage to an opponent for 10 to 20 seconds.
You're an enchanter? What's with that spell? You can't even kill a dog with this!
The samurai just snorted in annoyance despite being hit. The tennis ball-sized lightning sphere was loud and bright, but its damage was so low it didn't hurt. Enchanter's spells on the whole lacked attack power, but the damage over time magic could spread over a period of time. Its total damage exceeded Mind Bolt, but each wave of damage was insignificant. The feeling of scratching an itch matched the low damage of the spell. It was just a harmless prank to the samurai. It is weak, but... The taunts went to and fro, but Shiroi didn't react to the samurai's sneer since he knew the features of his spell. He cast the same Electric Fuzz on the bandit leader and the long-haired bandit afterwards. The dual-wield-based class had less HP than the samurai from the warrior class, but this low magic damage was painless to them.
What are you trying to accomplish with that spell? Are you a greenhorn following this chum?
The greenish-white spark shone like a shorted wire, or some misshapen fireworks. The three PKers redoubled their efforts on attacking Naotsugu. Alright then, let's get rid of one. The anger, carelessness, and sneer of the enemy. Absorbing these emotions like Dada and preparing in a deep breath, Shiroi took 2 steps forward, ready to act. He wielded his staff as he chanted, using his magic with a hotkey. He cast Thornbind Hostage after chanting for 2 seconds. 5 shiny rings flew towards the samurai and morphed into 5 vines, entangling him.
What is this? Ah!
Naotsugu slashed at the samurai. A lightning ball seemed to explode in the darkness. The samurai screamed as he backed away on reflex from the impact. Thornbind Hostage was a trap attack spell frequently used by Shiroi. Unlike single target or wide area attacks, it had a more complicated activation requirement. It also needed to be cast on the enemy beforehand. Enemies who were affected by the spell would suffer about 1,000 points of additional damage when attacked by the enchanter's allies. The number of vines and the damage it dealt differed by level. Shiroi's Thornbind Hostage was secret level. Even a warrior class would lose half his HP if all 5 vines were triggered.
Calm down! This is a damn trap spell! Dispel it, healer! Concentrate on healing our samurai! We have double their numbers. There's no way we can lose!
Unlike the damaged samurai, the bandit leader was still in control. Healers played a critical role in Elder Tale's setting. With a powerful healer using high-level spells, damage of several allies about the same level could be restored completely. If the healing was consistent, Shiroi's Thorn to Bind hostage was nothing to worry about. The bandit leader had a plan of taking on a sorcerer, who had more powerful attacks than an enchanter, so he remained confident in this battle. Naotsugu slashed again. Every swing activated the shockwave damage from the vines. Every time the samurai tried to take up a stance, the sword striking the vine explosion threw him off balance again.
This is nothing! Your flank is open!
The long-haired bandit slashed at Naotsugu's right flank with his machete. Naotsugu, who was immobile after his attack, couldn't avoid this attack.
This battle will be decided by the presence of healers. Don't underestimate us, chums! Ha ha ha! Cry on your way to the cathedral!
Naotsugu's attack was strengthened by Shidoi's magic, dealing damage above a normal warrior class. The secret level spell was also one of the few enchanter skills that could deal heavy damage, but that wouldn't be enough to outperform the healing spells of a healer about the same level. The laughter of the bandit leader came from this confidence.
That is a correct analysis, if your healer is doing his job.
Naotsugu lowered his body to half his height in an instant and slashed at the samurai's knee. This blow was like a giant praying mantis striking, throwing the samurai to the ground. He did not fly off with the blow or spray blood all over the place. The samurai was fighting fiercely 1 second and dropped motionless on the ground the next, cutting off the bandit leader's laughter.
What's happening? What'd you do? Paralysis? Hey healer, stop fooling around! Heal him!
The bandit leader yelled as Naotsugu swung his sword and said,
You annoying fellow, stop spouting ugly minion speeches on this beautiful night! What did you say?
It's faster than I imagined. What a reliable pro technique. Shidoi looked into the vast forest on the right of the courtyard. Everyone was standing on the road full of bright greenish-white light and couldn't see deep into the bushes of the courtyard, as Shidoi knew his companion was inside that bush.
Fuck it, enough! Hey sorcerer, summoner, use everything you've got to burn them into a crisp!
The bandit leader decided to show his hidden cards and throw in his reserve forces. So there were 2 other mages. They might be able to kill us if they join the fray. Even though the samurai fell, it still is 5-on-2, so he's confident, thinking we will lose. Shidoi deduced the thinking of the bandit leader, but even the reserve forces were within Shidoi's expectations. They used a binding spell on Naotsugu right from the start, but only a warrior, 2 bandits, and a healer turned up. They already let the cat out of the bag at that point in time. Shidoi already knew the PK group was holding a mage in reserve standing by in the dense forest. Mages have low HP and defense, but they left them alone in the forest without a bodyguard, which means...
Hey, hurry up! Kill these bastards!
The bandit leader shouted in a panic while pointing his sword at Naotsugu, but the tip of his sword was more than a meter away from Naotsugu. Shidoi and Naotsugu's tactics and weird atmosphere depleted the morale of the PKers. Seems like we won.
You were right, my lord.
A small figure appeared from behind the broad-leaved tree. Baka-Tsuki, with her usual serious expression, dragged 2 mages with her and dumped them on the road. The beautiful young girl, shorter than 150 centimeters in height, throwing the PKers like trash, made the bandit leader lose his composure.
What are you doing? Why didn't you report in? Healer, didn't I tell you to manage our HP? Did you betray us? This is why I said you're annoying.
The bandit leader's speech annoyed Naotsugu too much, and he knocked the leader down with his shield. The leader lost his balance from this sudden attack and fell on his butt. It's better to trust your teammates. Your healer has been sleeping since the start of the battle. Shidoi's cruel announcement could be heard on the whole road. The spell is Astral Hypnos. The binding spell was one of the 2 invaluable weapons of an enchanter alongside Keen Edge, a magic that forced any target to fall asleep, a stoppage spell. It only lasted a dozen or so seconds, no matter how you extended it. The target would wake up when attacked, so it was a prank magic in a sense, used to buy some time. Battle was a way of stripping each other of the ability to fight. The goal was to kill off the other party. Just putting the opponent to sleep wouldn't win you the fight. It was a spell that wouldn't affect the fight directly. That was why enchanters were seen as a second-rate class.
Do not underestimate my lord's magic.
The road had returned to silence all of a sudden. The lightning balls had stopped sparkling after its duration ran out. Both bandits were sitting on the ground while the healer was sleeping soundly. Shidoi's group looked down at them.
You underestimated the spark of the lightning balls, ignoring it because of the low damage. But having bright lights near your eyes obscured your vision from the forest's dark areas. You wouldn't see the situation in the forest or realize your healer was sleeping. You only think about fighting. Your teamwork is full of holes. It was easy to assassinate your reserves.
After Akatsuki finished, Naotoku swung down his sword as if he was looking forward to it. The long-haired bandit who had lost his fighting spirit screamed like a high-pitched whistle and died.
We'll revive even after dying! We haven't lost yet!
The bandit leader was still acting tough, but he couldn't move with Akatsuki's blade on his throat. Akatsuki asked Shiroi with her eyes. She was asking for permission to proceed. Shiroi gave a long sigh. Tying him up, robbing him of everything, and then interrogating him was possible, but Shiroi's nature was not suitable for interrogation, so he couldn't really do that. We can also let him go, but even if we do that, he probably wouldn't be grateful for that, and he wouldn't take this as a lesson and repent. He would definitely see this as an insult and bear a grudge. Death was just a ritual in this world anyway. It made one doubt there was a crime and punishment system like the real world. Shiroi understood this, but he still felt that one must not act without any regards to the law. There's no other way. Shiroi nodded at Akatsuki. She stuck the blade into the bandit leader's throat without hesitation. Blood that looked red and dirty in the dark night sprayed from his throat. Akatsuki deftly turned her body to avoid the spray as gold and items dropped around the leader. This ended the attack of the PKers.
To read along with Log Horizon, or to read any other fine light novels, go to Baka-Tsuki.org. Baka-Tsuki.org. If you want to voice a character for audio light novel Log Horizon, contact me at youtubecontact22@yahoo.com. If you want to pay for your services, I can pay some money, just not a lot, and I am willing to negotiate a price. You can also volunteer if you wish. Again, just contact me at the specified email address. I'm also willing to reply to any constructive criticism, so if you have any ideas for audio light novel Log Horizon, please leave them in the comments. If you like audio light novel Log Horizon, please leave a like or a comment, as it really does motivate me to do these.